Quick look at what the markets are doing, and well, we are seeing some steady gains. Steady may be an understatement, as we have climbed 127 points for the Nifty-50, back above 11,500. So recuperating from the massive losses that we saw yesterday in trade. But the much-awaited relief package for the sugar sector is expected to be approved by the cabinet before the 1st of October. The relief package pending with the cabinet also includes an MSP hike and higher export quota as well. We are joined by Karishma, who's here to give us the details of this expected package. Karishma?
Well, right, there's some confirmed movement finally, and finally is the word, that sugar package, which has been under consideration for months, has finally been given a nod, and cabinet will be taking it up this month. Top sources say that before October 1, the government is likely to release the bailout sugar package for the industry. Increase of MSP from 31 to 32 rupees per kg has been the highlight of this package, which will likely get a green signal from the government and will be a positive benefit for the industry. Besides that, there is some hike that will be seen on the export quota for sugar for firms. This will be a hike that is expected of about 5 to 7%. Currently, the export quota is at 60 lakh million ton, and that is to be moved up to that of 7%. That is, industry is expecting about 70 lakh metric ton of this increase. Besides this, the government is likely also to extend, that is, recontinue the buffer stock scheme of 40 lakh ton that was stopped on 31st July 2020. We're learning from top sources that Food Ministry has sent a proposal to GOM and Cabinet, which is also under consideration, regarding restarting it from 1st October, since the sugar season, the season of planting and harvesting, starts in October, and this could probably bring some kind of uptick. We know that the sugar storage and the sugar production in India is massive, and with this kind of relief and support, because the distress caused by COVID-19 in broader terms will give a major uptick in the industry. In fact, major industry associations and industry voices from sugar have also met food department regarding their considerations, regarding their appeal in order to bring some kind of relief. Usually every year there's an annual package that comes around the month of September before the season starts in order to give relief. This is the package, and we are picking up that September, around mid-September, this will be released.
Okay, mid-September is when we're expecting the sugar package to come out. It'll include an MSP hike from 31 to 33 perhaps. Thank you, Karishma, for that. Quick look at some of these stocks, by the way. They are definitely reacting. A Balrampur Chini, let's pull that one up. There was a sharp spike in that counter. Even a Dhampur Sugar did see a bit of an up move. So all these sugar stocks are now off the day's high, off the day's low, pardon me. A Balrampur Chini definitely showing the most amount of traction in terms of, share price movements. Thanks, Karishma, for that. Okay, well, apart from sugar, what else is buzzing today in trade? Let's get you a gist of all the movers and shakers. First up, got to keep our eye on the telecom stocks. Reliance Industries, by the way, was one of the top gainers as soon as the verdict was out that, these telecom companies will have to pay out their AGR dues in this, over the course of the next 10 years. But it was Bharti Airtel definitely that's turned out to be a big gainer. Remember, they already do have their situation with respect to funds sorted. They had that massive fundraise rights issue of 25,000 crore rupees. This is just sort of an overhang that's out of the stock. But very much to the contrary is Vodafone Idea, which has tanked 16% as we speak. A massive fall being witnessed over there post the verdict. Remember that Vodafone does not have much of a bearing as such on the market. Even institutional holding has been culled down quite significantly in Vodafone Idea. I think the last time I checked, it was down 16%. Now it's down by a much higher quantum. Almost a 20% fall being witnessed in Vodafone Idea, just at about 8 odd rupees is where the share is trading at. Well, moving on, another stock in focus is Biocon. The company has launched its insulin glargine in the United States. Essentially, its partner, has as well. There's a third biosimilar as well that's going to be launched in the United States by Mylan and Biocon. So interesting one at that. This is the launch is of course on expected lines, and Citi, meantime, has said that this is a key event in Biocon's biosimilars journey, first launch in the insulins category where competition is limited. Look at the stock price of Biocon too. It's a nice 5% rally that we are witnessing. Well, now 6% rally that we are witnessing in the stock price of Biocon. All right, Maruti Suzuki, great numbers over there. Motown definitely seems to be in top gear today. The August sales are very strong for Maruti, came in at 1.24 lakh. This is not just a rebound from the previous month, wherein it's higher by 15%, but even from the corresponding quarter, or rather corresponding month, that's August 2019. From there as well, the growth has been almost about 17%. So, okay, definitely, great numbers being witnessed by the auto sales, a rebound from the previous month and, from the 2019 numbers as well. MOIL, we don't talk about this stock very often, but this company as well, which, it makes manganese ore, has taken a price hike. In fact, it has revised the prices of all grades of ferro, SMGR, fines and chemicals by approximately 10%. So some kick in the realization figure over there. And finally, BEML, which has bagged 842 odd crore rupees worth of orders from the Ministry of Defence for the supply of 330 high mobility vehicles for the Pinaka project. So BEML as well is in focus, and that stock as well is seeing a nice seeing some good momentum. Okay, well, moving on, earlier in the day we spoke to Mr. Larsen and Toubro is all set, and in fact it has already sold off its electrical and automation business to a global energy management player, that's Schneider Electric, for a whopping 14,000 crore rupees in an all-cash deal. Remember, this deal was announced, I guess, sometime last year, and now it's all concluded. Avan Dubash spoke to Mr. S.N. Subramaniam, the CEO and Managing Director of L&T, to decode the nuances of this deal and how the company plans to use the proceeds. Here's a slice of that conversation.
We call it the electrical and automation business. It had some of the widest range of low and medium voltage switchgears, electrical systems, industrial and building automation solutions, including energy management systems, metering solutions, and some projects. It's one of the annuity business of L&T, one of the product business of L&T, and looking at ourselves as a company, we were more focused on EPC construction projects, into manufacturing and defense and fast-growing service area. And when you look into the future of the company, this exactly did not fit into where we wanted to go. And we thought we would go to keep the business in the best place that it could be kept, which was Schneider Electric. You're right, the challenge was to carve out a business of this scale with minimum disruption, because it was not a separate company. It was part of the existing business of L&T. Much of the land, much of the factories, etc., were in common places. And therefore, to carve out a business from an existing business, it has to be a slump sale. And internationally, we had separate companies in various countries to do business there. And then therefore, that had to be a share purchase transfer agreement. I think it's a win-win for the employees, business and partners and the shareholders. During this pandemic time, I think some of the people have worked extremely hard night and day to do this transaction, which involved multiple amounts of data inputs, transferring land, transferring assets, innovation from the client, so on and so forth. I think it's a great credit to both the people, all the people involved, including from Schneider Electric, that we have managed to do this.
Yes, indeed. Now, can you tell us more details on the final deal value adjusted for working capital and how much is going to flow into L&T?
It's more or less that 14,000 crores. Some small adjustments would be there. Of course, there is a tax to be paid and such. As you correctly said, there's an all-cash deal. Therefore, it comes into the money has already come into the company. So it helps us to create a stronger balance sheet, create a long-term value opportunities for our shareholders. It helps us to focus on our key business. And there will be some finer aspects of it, but as you correctly said, the entire value has been captured, and that's where we are.
Of course, all eyes are on the Supreme Court ruling. Telcos have got 10 years to repay AGR dues as against the 20 years sought by the centre. And in an exclusive conversation with ET Now, we had Bharti Airtel's counsel Kapil Sibal sharing his views on the same. Here's a slice of that conversation.
As far as the government was concerned, they were willing to give us 20 years. Some Vodafone asked for 15. But I think now there is finality and clarity. They've given us 10 years and 10% upfront payment. I'm not sure about the interest part of it because I haven't read the judgment yet. But luckily, as far as Bharti and Jio are concerned, the issues that were raised by the court in respect of spectrum and whether spectrum can be security with the banks and whether it's property or not, that of course impacted Jio the most. That matter has now been to be decided, will be now decided at the level of the NCLAT. So that's over. As far as Bharti is concerned, there were issues in respect of both Biocon as well as Aircel. Luckily, the court has not passed any orders, so I think we've succeeded there. And there are no demands raised by the government. And there were no demands raised by the government at any stage. But the court, of course, was looking at it and heard us fully. So we're happy about that. And I think by and large, I think now each telco will have to decide on its own what is to be done. But of course, the judgment is final and there can be no appeal. Review petitions on their own are seldom successful because unless there is some error on the face of the record, reviews are never granted.
So yes, Mr. Sibal, in fact, we were discussing that if there's even a scope to file a review petition. You did use the word finality here. Would that mean your client, Bharti Airtel, is happy with the verdict and doesn't see a need to go back to the Supreme Court seeking a review, especially since it may not have to pay extra now for Aircel and Vodafone, Videocon's behalf?
Well, I don't know whether he's happy or not. We don't sort of discuss issues like this with the client. The client has to decide on its own in the context of its own financial position and in terms of its own projections, whether they would like to file a review or not. But that's something for the client to decide. As and when they seek our opinion, we will give it. But at this point in time, without the client first wanting to go forward, there's nothing that I have to say. We were only talking about how much timeline is available and what the court should do in terms of when to discharge those liabilities. The court has not, has reaffirmed that verdict stands. So that's not an issue. I don't think there's going to be a relook at that, unless, of course, at some stage, some petitions are filed and the court looks at that again. But I doubt that very much. Be that as it may, I think the more serious issue which we need to look at, and which courts also need to look at, is that a slump in the economy leads to defaults, and when courts are looking at economic issues like the health of a sector, they have to be exceptionally careful in
Okay, that of course was the big ET Now exclusive. Immediately after the verdict, we had none other than Bharti Airtel's counsel Kapil Sibal reacting to the verdict. Well, earlier in the day, we spoke to Anuj Khanna of Affle India, who spoke about growth, cost rationalization strategy, and of course, the Singapore contract that is expected to power the company ahead. Listen into a slice of that conversation.
So in India today, we have about 600 million connected users on smart screen devices. And one is expecting in the next 3 years, this number to grow to 1 billion connected users or connected devices in India alone. And globally, of course, in emerging markets, the trends are similar. The second scenario is where you see that the number of people who are shoppers on these devices is also increasing. With the lockdowns, with the digitization of payment platforms and so on, more and more consumers are becoming comfortable, whether they are the youth or they are in the rural areas or even in the older age segments. We are finding that increasingly everybody is more and more comfortable with digitization, with the payments, and the average value of these transactions is also consistently going up. So all these trends from the consumer side show that the consumers are doing more and more conversions on smartphone devices. Consequently, the trend that you're seeing is that the marketeers, the businesses are also shifting a lot of their marketing spends to digital and digital transformation. So I like to say the statement that mobile as a platform for marketers is no longer a discretionary spend. If anybody is in the business where they're trying to engage consumers and trying to win business from them, they must find their presence on this most valuable real estate, which is the mobile smart screen, because the consumers are completely having their...
All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for watching, but stay tuned. All the market action will be taken forward in closing trades.